All right, good evening, everyone. So it's evening here from my time. I think it's also evening in Nigeria. It's nice to be back for this other episode of our Eco Weather TV series. I remain the host here for now. I'm Chiruka Monyi, and with me I have Toby Loba Babajide, who happens to be our data manager. So he's the lead data analyst for Oaks Intelligence Limited. We will be having Peter join us sometime in the course of the program. We also have silent listeners. Our silent listeners are Dorothy and Rejoice. Toby, the last time we met last week Monday, at the towards the end of our series, I asked you for your outlook. For the week. In hindsight, again, I keep asking this question, and I know that I sound like a broken record. But what do you think about that? What's your opinion about the economy of the country with respect to, your views as at last time?
Good evening, everyone. I don't know. Like I said last time, I don't know if my outlook is going to change anything because there really is nothing to, let's say, to make me change my mind as of yet. Things are basically still the same. There's not a lot that has changed last week, and in fact, things might have even gotten worse if we are being honest. So I would say my outlook remains the same. It's just a situation where we have to hope a lot and then trust that things will get better. But then things do not look like they are getting better anytime soon. But then again, we will continue to hope.
All right. Toby, I'm looking currently on my screen now. I think I have two snapshots. The first snapshot I have on my screen here is the commodity price change week on week for about 7 items. So that was for data valid as at 19th of October 2023. I have by the side of that another snapshot of 7 other items. I think not really the same items, but I think there are similar items across board. Now, this is our current data for the week. And I'm looking at the week-on-week changes, right? And one thing is obvious, it doesn't make sense. I'll give you an instance, I'll explain what I mean. So as at the 19th of October 2023, when we had this data review, charcoal, a bag of charcoal, 50 kg bag, had dropped by 13.4% week on week. So as at 19th of October, the price of charcoal for my enumerators, average price across the country, was about 13% lower than the preceding week. Now, a week after, as at 26th of October 2023, that same charcoal bag, right, has increased in price by 16%. What's happening here? It's like one step forward, 1.5 steps backwards. Why do we have this upsurge in price? It's better if we just see price go upward continuously, or we see price fall continuously. But now we have price swings, go up, come down. What is that throwing up in there? What's the data talking about? What's that telling us?
Well, if you look at the situation of things in the country, you would see that there are a lot of times where things are never, let's say, either one directional or stable. So, for example, just like you said, it's never a case of okay, throughout this period, it's going to be an increase for the next 2 months or 3 months, and then for another 1 month, going to be decrease. So, there seems to be a lot of volatility, and there are a lot of reasons for that. If you take a look at something else now, for example, if you look at the currency tracker that we have for this past week, you see something very strange. So in the black market, the cost of the dollar rates went really high. It's increased, dollar rates, the pound rates. That's just black market rates concerning the naira, even euros. And then in the CBN rates, there was like a decrease all around, right? And the decrease was quite, what's the word I used? Was quite substantial because dollar as a last week was much higher than this. So the point here is that even in the country as things are now, things are not either stable or one directional. So things are not necessarily getting better, and they are not getting so bad, right? So last week now charcoal dropped in price, but then this week it's increased by even 16%, right? So only God really knows. We have to maybe take a deeper look at the data to really understand what's happening with data to see why it changed like that. But then, I mean, who can really say, except if we take more time to study the data?
Yeah. When Toby said only God knows, I became very scared because it means that the issues we are seeing now are beyond the data that we are having. But last time, Peter, you expressed your views when I asked you about your outlook for the country for the next 1 week. I mean, the kind of things we are seeing, the price swings, they are now. If we use price changes as a proxy, right, for consistency in policy, the implication here is that we just have policies coming left, right, center without any direction. And I know that in our inaugural meeting, you talked about the need for government officials to have long-term views about the policies they are bringing in. What's your opinion in hindsight about this, wide swings we see in price movement? We don't have certainty. Averagely, prices are on the upward trend, but we seem to have lost Peter there. Okay, what I'm going to do now, Toby, is I'm going to do a deep dive. I'm going to play some of the videos we had from my enumerators across 3 geopolitical zones. So we have the first video here. It's from Ondo State. I'm just going to just a minute so I ensure that we can have the sound. Yeah, okay, great. So let me play the first video. This is a street video. This is just a random recording of a particular seller, a particular buyer, a random person on the streets in Ondo State. And let's see their pulse, with regards to the state of the economy there.
So, how are you coping with this economic
For now, everything is too expensive. The more you buy, whenever you go back to the buy, the price is always increasing. They are having increments every day by day, which is affecting our business.
What are some expensive things?
Everything is expensive.
What do you want the government to do about it?
They have to try their best to keep and more about this first subsidy fuel. It will affect everything. I think that price increments is affecting our business. So if they can try their best to help us reduce it, it will benefit for everybody in this country.
This is Abia State, Osama local government precisely. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, my dear.
How is everything?
It has not been easy, it has been hectic, but with God, I think we can cope.
What food item is the most expensive for
Rice
you?
is very expensive as well as this too. We find it difficult to purchase it to the level of price that they are putting on it.
Alright, how are you coping with life and every other thing?
It has not been easy because some of our income cannot be able to purchase our needs. So it has been hectic, it has been rough. Even to take care of our families, we find it difficult to take care of their personal needs now.
What should government do to improve things?
I think government should work on the fuel subsidy. The removal of fuel subsidy has affected the production of food and transportation of food too. Government should also see if they can bring that grant that they can give people that cannot be able to take care of their family. And they should make sure that that grant reaches to the appropriate quarter, not hanging it on the head.
All right.
So, what food item is more expensive for you? Most expensive for you?
What food item is most expensive for me? Indomie.
Indomie. Hey. Okay,
One
you
carton
buy.
is now 7K now. I be 7.5 from 3
Okay,
something.
so you feel Indomie is more.
Yes, and rice too. Rice
Okay.
is very expensive.
How
for
much
me.
is you buy a meal of rice now?
I think it should be 1.5.
1.5. Okay, wow. So
Before I was printing for 500, sometimes even 300, but now it's like 1,000 naira.
Wow.
Before I was buying the shirt for 1.2, 1.5, but now it's 2,000 and sometimes even more.
wow.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think government should do to improve things in the economy?
I don't know, Seth. They should just help us.
They should help.
They should just help us.
They should just help you.
Yes.
Okay.
To make things easier for us.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much, Miss Confidence.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, yeah. So Toby, I decided to do that deep dive where we lost Peter. Peter, let's just go back to you before we just take some. We see your takes on the videos that we just played. How do you rate what's happening in the country? Today we see swings, positive change. The following week again, you see a reversal in some of those price decrease. And these things are not helping families to plan. Are these things signs that there's confusion in government?
Can you hear me?
In progress.
Yeah, Peter, we can hear you now.
Okay. Well, I don't know, to be honest. Okay, let me say I think, like, okay, we expect, right, some level of stability in the prices of things here. But the Nigerian economic system is not that developed for that expectation to, like, be realized, right? There are so many, like, what do I say? There are so many interwoven factors, or factors that have, like, knock-on effects here and there. You understand? That keep, like, making things just giving, in fact, even just the fact that corruption is still such a big, like, such a major problem. You can't even, like, you can't hope to have a stable system when corruption has such a strong stranglehold on the country. So, because if you have policies that have been, that are being implemented, and then you have, political forces, and then you have even those policies not even being adhered to, or not being, what did I say? Not being so the value of even if there's a good policy, or if there are good policies, the value of those policies lies in their being consistently applied across board, generally. You understand? So if you have policies, even if no matter how good they are, if there's I mean, really, generally, you won't have absolute, right? But at least there should be a minimum level of application. If you look at other economies, you find that when policies are implemented, especially economic policies, generally, at least there's a level of like uniform application of those policies. But in a country like Nigeria, where corruption is so rife, you find that there are so many back doors. Like, so the policies, even if they are that good, will just keep getting, like, defeated. So the point is, the point I'm trying to make is that the Nigerian system is so fragile that you can't expect that kind of consistency, given all the different things that are not yet in place, checks and balances and all that stuff. So
yeah, well, Toby, you saw the videos that we played, and there was something that was consistent. Rice was one of the major commodities that people complained still on the high side, but then there was this consistent linkage between the increase in price of rice and fuel subsidy from the government. I do know that the government for now does not have clarity in terms of their communication with regards to the state of subsidy. During the inauguration of, during the swearing-in ceremony of the current president of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he categorically said that there was no more fuel subsidy. But then it seems that over time, there's been a partial rollback by the government with regards to fuel subsidy, but there's still confusion or gray areas around this. Now, you are our data analyst. What's the data telling you with regards to the correlation between the increase in fuel prices or the removal of fuel subsidy and the general increase in the price of rice, for instance? What's the data saying?
Okay, so, well, we cannot deny that there is a sort of general, I would call it, relationship between the cost of fuel and cost of, I would say, everyday items in the country and even everyday services. But at the same time, we are aware, or we need to be aware that the cost of fuel is not the only factor that determines the cost of particular food items in the country, right? So after this video was sent in and all, we decided to take a look at the data, and we saw that, well, in terms of looking at staple food items, there appears to be a very weak relationship between the cost of fuel and cost of staple food items. So by very weak, I mean a very weak positive relationship. Meaning that yes, there is a relationship there, meaning as the cost of fuel increases, the cost of these food items also tends to increase. But the relationship is not significant enough for us to say that it is a predetermining factor for the cost of the staple food items. And if you look at the cost of rice in particular, because rice is probably the most common food item in the country, you know that the relationship was even weaker, right? So it means that there are other market forces that affect the cost of these items, not just fuel. So even though we think that solving the issue of, because fuel subsidy is probably the hot topic, has been the hot topic for months now, with the cost of fuel, increasing sharply and all that. But that is not the only issue that we're having. Nigeria has been battling food insecurity even before fuel got to 6 cents. Right? Even in July of this year, that was just maybe 1 month, let's say 1 month after the whole process, the president declared a state of emergency over food items in the country. So fuel is not the only fixing the cost of fuel, is the only thing that this will work. The last time we talked about things like food processing, capabilities of farmers, right? Farmers lose a lot of their food produce because of their lack of storage ability, right? That's one thing we need to start with. We need to look at mechanized farming, modernized farming. A lot of farmers are not able to produce as much as they should be able to because they do not have the facilities to do so, right? What are we going to solve that issue? The cost of effectively transporting food items across the country also exists. What are we doing to make the available food items more accessible to every region of the country? We need to look at each of those other things before we think, okay, what does solving the fuel issue do? If at the end of the day, okay, fuel is cheaper, okay, that's fine. It might drop, the price of things, but then it's not the ultimate solution, right? So, like I said, it's just the off top now. Everybody seems to think that that's the only thing affected. No, the naira dollar exchange is also there. What are we doing to solve that one, right? So we do not need to only focus on the cost of things. We need to look at, again, sustainable, will I say, policies or interventions, right? We cannot just try to say, okay, let the price of fuel drop. Again, if it drops, there might be little to no change because since the beginning of the year, the price of food items are very high. In fact, as of now, the difference is probably about maybe just 10% increase, right? So we need the government to obviously look at other things than just the fuel subsidy.
All right. I'm on our leaderboard now, and I think for those who are watching, the leaderboard is one of the offerings we give every Wednesday in our Eco Tracker series, where we give you the top performing 10 states in the country based on affordability, and the bottom 10 performing states. So it's based on affordability. So the top 10 states are the most affordable states, and the bottom 10 states are the least affordable states. And this week, the first two affordable states, or the most affordable states in Nigeria, remain unchanged. It's still Taraba and Adamawa. There's something unique about this leaderboard. Since we started displaying our leaderboard, we've always seen consistently that the top performing states, the most affordable states, still remain in the north. And unfortunately, the least affordable states find themselves in the south. But if we do a comparison with regards to GDP, production, and all that, we see that you have more output in terms of production in the south, of course, inflated mostly by states like Lagos, Ogun State, and others that have disproportionately higher amounts of factories and I mean, what do you think about this leaderboard? Every week, this leaderboard continues to tell us this same story with regards to affordability. How does this resonate with the cost of living crisis we have in the country? I mean, if these states are affordable, are people in these particular states able to actually afford the things that they need for at least a minimum quality of life?
Well, looking at the affordability of, like again, of the states, we see that let me just say one of the major factors is always the cost of food items, right, and the cost of accommodation. And we already tackled particularly the issue of accommodation. We spoke about this, I think it was last week, about the fact that obviously in certain areas of the country, people are moving to all these areas, automatically causing the cost of accommodation to increase. These sites are, even in terms of looking at the proportion of people to the land mass, we have a lot more people looking at the proportions in many of the certain parts of the country, right? Because it's very, very, in fact, many parts of the Southwest now, let me just say the Southwest, are already getting overpopulated, which is another issue that the government is looking at. But then these things are the reasons that the cost is for the increase or hiking price of accommodation. And in terms of food, well, this one is a no-brainer because everyone knows, or maybe not everyone knows, but if you don't know, one of the things that you need to know about the country is that most of our food items in the country are produced in the northern parts of the country, right? So a lot of our food items, things like yam, things like rice, things like tomatoes, a lot of these things are produced in the northern part of the country, right? And these are, again, staple food items, things that everybody eats, right? So it is not strange that those things are more affordable in the northern part of the country. But then one thing we keep hammering is that affordability does not necessarily determine quality of life, right? And we know also that one of the things that determines the prices of items or commodities in a region is also the standard of living of people in that region, right? So if I'm living in a region where people are mostly poor, where people are mostly unable to pay for basic commodities, then obviously I'm not going to be able, even as a seller, I'm not going to be able to set some prices that people are not able to buy, right? So these things are reasons why these northern states are also, they also find themselves on the higher spectrum of the and again in the southern part of the country, it's the same story, just like the opposite of the northern part of the country. The fact that food items have to be transported a lot there. By the time it gets to the wholesalers, they have to increase prices. By the time it gets to retailers, they also have to increase their own prices. Things like that affect the cost of these items across the country. So again, me personally, I'd say I'm never surprised when I see it. It's something I expect. So it's just normal.
Our state spotlight was Katsina State. What was interesting about the state? I saw that for those who just viewing us for the first time, every Wednesday in our Eco Tracker series, we have a state spotlight, and basically we select a state across the country, and then we provide data on the local governments that we cover in that particular state. So we give you some high level or deep dive into the state. Toby, I'm looking at Katsina, and I know that they were in the news some time ago for a number of reasons. I mean, there was a lot of insurgency in the state. You had, you know, a lot of farmer header clashes and all of that. And it's showing in the cost of food items. I mean, for instance, over the past 1 week, beans, for instance, in Katsina local government area, has gone from about 22,000 naira, I believe, for a bag of beans, maybe 50 kg or one of that, to around 39,000 naira within a week. Now, if you even look at Kaita local government area, you see an item like tomato, right? Tomato has increased. It increased from about 250, doubled in price per kg, whereas in Katsina, we saw a decrease in, I think, the price of a basket or wholesale price of tomato items. My worry here, Peter, is all of these food items that continue to increase across the state, we still have not had any firm policy output from the federal government with regards to minimum wage. People are still earning the same salaries they've been earning despite the rising cost of living and the heightened inflation in the country. Do you think there is a correlation between all of these things we are having, the heightened cost of living and the stagnation in salary, with the increase in crime we've been witnessing across the country?
Well, I'll just say, are you talking specifically for Katsina State or more generally in terms of the
generally, I mean, our spotlight for the week was Katsina, but this is representative across the country.
Well, I would say two things. The first thing I would say is that the increase in earning power, or the earning power, is a product. So it's a oh my God, why is the word failing me? But it's a product of many factors, right? I mean, it's product of the skill level. It's products of the how strong or robust the private sector is, and then also obviously if there's some policy that sort of regulates that, it's also a product of that. So, but in the case of Nigeria in general, I would be more cautious to make a blanket statement about earning. Now, consider that we were just talking, I think, myself and you a couple of days ago about, and I saw this in the news, I think yesterday, about the fact that Nigeria is quick becoming a hub for the outsourcing of skills to other countries in the world, especially if you're even talking about the tech space, right? So we are seeing a lot of people getting jobs outside, and Nigeria in general is a very like, you know, there's this thing we call hustling, right? So and then again, the earning power of any society is a function of both the skill level as well as how industrialized the place is. Bringing in minimum wage, like I said the last time, what kind of minimum wage are we going to do? How effective or how enforceable would that policy be? And what will be the knock-on effect of such policies on the economy? If we're saying the government should raise the minimum wage and so that people can earn more money, how would that impact inflation? How would that impact the private sector, right? So I think that rather we should be more concerned about the earning power of the average Nigerian and what can be done to raise that using market forces. By the time if we have like more industrialization, especially if you talk, like Toby was talking about the North and the fact that, you know, even though things are more affordable there, I was going to say that this affordability index is a more is like a general thing, right? We haven't really contextualized it to different places. So when we're saying that this place is more affordable than this place, what we're saying is that, like, absolutely, if you go here, you will spend less money if you go with the same money from this place to this place. But if you now bring it down to, okay, how easy is it to make that money here versus here, right? Then you're not talking about the northern states. How industrialized are those northern states? What's the skill level generally, right? And that would now can be extrapolated to the earning power of the people in those places. So I think that is what, if we are talking generally now across Nigeria, and I'm happy because actually there's hope in that area, because more and more Nigerians are becoming less reliant on, okay, well, let's wait for the government to do something. Let's wait for the government to make things. And then people are learning that the world has become a global village. You can sit in your parlor or in your room somewhere, even in a very place that's not even too close to the center, and you can be earning lots of money across the world. So what I would say is, the government could try, but I think what would be more effective would be to invest in capacity building and raising the earning power of the average Nigerian in a free market.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the ultimate challenge of the year. Here you stand a chance to win up to 20,000 Naira cash prize. Introducing the 3K Jollof Rice Challenge. You were able to make jollof rice with only 3,000 Naira across the nation. And all you have to do is come up with a creative caption for this video and share it for the world to see. It's all about the caption. Rally your friends, family, neighbors, co-workers, and heck, even your pets if they can vote. Get everyone to vote for you. Now let's skip to the best part. The second runner-up with at least 45 votes will take home the sum of 5,000 Naira, while the first runner-up with a minimum of 90 votes will pocket 10,000 Naira, and the winner with no less than 150 votes will be walking away with 20,000 Naira. So what are you waiting for? Start brainstorming those captions. Gather your troops and prepare to unleash your creativity. To win, create a captivating caption for the 3K Jollof video and share the video with your caption. Tag Ox Intelligence and use the hashtag 3K Jollof Challenge. Include your voting link and encourage your friends to vote for you. Like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn with the name Ox Intelligence. You can also connect with us on Twitter and Instagram at OxIntel. Get ready to caption, vote, and win. Good luck.
Hello there. Oaks Intelligence is one of the fastest rising technology and business companies that offers services such as software development, where we build, maintain, support, and provide assistance throughout the entire software development lifecycle. We have built a massive team of enumerators across the country who amass data for us on a weekly basis. The data collected is used to curate interesting newsletters and beautiful content that keep our subscribers abreast of the economic health of our country. That's not all yet. We also offer consulting services for business analysis and process improvement for your products and services. We have authored economic and financial books for children and teenagers, and finally, we offer project management services to help you execute tremendous projects, making your dreams and goals achievable and a reality. To get more information about us and regular feeds from us, you can follow us on all of our social media handles.
Peter is talking, raising some very key points there, but I still have issues with what he said because people are hungry now, Peter. And it's only people that have eaten, I think, that we'll be talking of capacity building. And the videos that we even show see people complaining of food items. Somebody was complaining about the price of Indomie, as one of our major concerns and all that. The concern here is what do you think the government should do in the interim? Because we keep raising this question every week, and I'm saying this because these are lives being affected. It's
so Chuks, can I just chip in? Now just think about this thing. Let's say that in Nigeria, let's say for I don't know what the current minimum wage is, right? But let's say that the government
1,000
okay, 30,000. Okay. Let's say that the government decides to raise it to 50,000, for example, across board, right? Or let's say they even implement a kind of more localized scheme of like per state, look at what is happening, what the economy is like, what prices are, and customize it to those states. What do you think would be the response of the producers or supply when there's a publicized increase in price in earning? Like what should be the response of?
That's a good question, but we are saying that government is not only going to tax. So this is where, when you talked about the implication, the long-term implication. If government knows that they want to empower the citizens, with more minimum wage, then the implication means that government needs to create another avenue that we see the prices of food items and commodities generally fall in the country. And that simply means allowing for imports. If Nigeria allows for imports of many of these commodities, rice, etc., everything into the country, in the interim, what it simply will do is to crash the prices of those things down. Because what that means is that you flood the market with many of those products, cheap products from across the world, and then that forces the price down. So even if there's an injection of capital or of a credit in the system because of increase in the salaries of people, at least in a way, there should be some mitigation to the perceived increase that we would have had. The problem we have now is that we have insufficient, items to even grow in the country. So there's food poverty in the country. In addition to the issues of infrastructure and all that, we also believe that we don't have enough to go around in the country. So the prices are even high because it's available. So how can we go now? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we are just sharing ideas. You understand? So it's not like we're trying to see what's the something. I saw somebody saying I was actually, because I think generally people are saying, well, now that they've it's a good thing that the government has relaxed the border. But I saw people on Twitter actually arguing against that, saying that now that the government has relaxed those things, what should be the impact of that on our forex, right? Because now the reason why it was blocked in the first place was so that we could develop capacity in-house and then we could export. But now by the time we open this thing and then they start coming in, then the forex rate would increase because the demand for forex would also increase.
Yeah, Peter, it's a free market economy. I mean, what the government tried to do, I believe, was to float our currency, a managed float, as it were. And removing those 43 items from the ban simply means that government wants to remove their hands from intervening regularly, in the forex market. So let people go and source for their forex anywhere, price it how get the dollar, whatever rate they want to get it, and sell. But we are saying that in the interim.
Yeah. So do you see that? Okay, so I'm a proponent of a free market, right? But if we're talking about that's what I was saying, I think last 2 weeks when we were talking, is that the system is so complicated that you have to be very, very careful about what you do. Because if we're talking about interim intervention and we're saying, okay, let's open the borders, then immediately there's already an increase in forex, and then those whose businesses are very much deep in that have a lot to do with forex, they will be heavily impacted and they will lose out.
So we're not saying there will be no consequences, but we are saying in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let people. we are telling you that people are suffering. There is hunger in the world.
Yes. So that's what we're saying. That
how does the government solve the problem of food in the interim? The only solution to the problem of food is to allow food to come into the country. We can't farm it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
We can't farm because it's a cycle. We don't even have the capacity. There's insecurity. Yeah. So the government needs to allow food to come in, grains, all of these things to come in. Let it go around. You understand? At least create some, calm some of the prices down, and then we can now work out policies from there. So that's the major. To me, I think that the government finds itself in a tough situation. But the problem we are having now is that since this government came, and that's why I'm going back to Toby now, is that we've not had clarity. in policies from the government. The government declared state of emergency in agriculture. We never heard anything from them. What we saw was they said they were distributing rice and some amount of money, and then all of a sudden that fizzled out of the news. We heard some news that the government was to give grants of 8,000 naira. I think there was public discontent to that particular amount, and all of a sudden that fizzled out of the news. There were some noise or rumors that the government was going. We keep hearing rumors, but what is painful is that time keeps going. Toby, you live in Ibadan. I mean, how do you see people around coping with this confusion from the government? You hear a rumor today, all of a sudden nobody is talking about the rumor, but people have to pay rent, they have to feed, they have kids to pay their fees. I mean, in all of this confusion, how are people living?
It's again, one of the reasons why I struggle to be positive regarding this sort of things, because day to day you see the life of I'm grateful for kind of life that I'm able to live. But then when you see other people, people like petty traders, people like marketmen as well, people that sell food items, markets, you begin to genuinely ask yourself that question. And that's one question I've actually asked myself a lot of time over the years, and I do not think I've gotten the answer. People are really, really struggling, right? People are really, really struggling. The government seems not to be aware of that. In fact, the former minister of agriculture now was saying that the country actually has enough food to feed all its citizens. If that's the case, actually, then why do we have such a serious issue of food insecurity in the country, right? So it's I don't know. Just what's it called? Just 2 days ago, I went to buy meat. I went to buy chicken, and then it was going for 2.7. I think I shared this 2 weeks ago. Chicken was around 2.7 or 2.8. I got there 2 days ago. They said chicken is now 3.5. Right? Just 2 days ago, chicken is now 3.5 per kilogram. And I now remember what the woman said chicken I used to, because I would go there for days and she'd be like, there's no chicken. I just thought it was by choice. Knowing that probably she has been so affected by that increase in price that she's not even able to procure new stock. Right? So people are really struggling. And like I always say, it's getting to a point where it's even difficult to say a way forward, if I'm being honest. Because I wonder how much the government has to do, number one, and how quickly they plan on doing it to see that they are changing. Right? For example, we talked about food importation, but again, we know that with the issue of food importation, there's going to be, just like Peter said, there's going to be an increase in the price of this food item. Just in August or so, the report was that in the past 4 years, the inflation rate on imported food items has gone to about 80%. So the solution cannot just be importing food. Again, that might solve things a bit just now, but then we really need it. I will always make the stance of the government is not lacking in ideas of what to do. The question is, are we really ready to do this? Right? Are we actually ready to do this? So for me, that's why I struggle to understand why we are struggling so much. Because again, we are not lacking the ideas. Yeah, because we are not lacking the ideas. We are a lot of intelligent people in the country. There are a lot of economists that will actually procure solutions to the problems we have. But the truth is, the government doesn't just seem ready to do anything about it. We talk a lot, we make hearings a lot, we pass policies a lot, but sincerely, when I will implement any of the things we talk about, that's just sincerity.
In 1 minute, Peter, I will still have to come back to you again. What's your outlook for? I mean, we are entering into November, and naturally during this period, you start seeing prices again start to creep up because and all that. I mean, what's your outlook again for the country? Because we'll be here on Monday again, and we'll be looking at all of this, all of the data we've gathered. I mean, what do you hope to see when we look at the data in a week's time?
Okay, so I was actually going through a document. Sorry to reference this. About I've been trying to educate myself on things that the government, basically economics in terms of the government's managing of inflation and all that stuff. So, and I found that, I don't know about Nigeria, but there are countries have, relative, well, should we say first world countries or more advanced countries, have clear-cut plans for managing inflation that take into cognizance the ripple effects, right? So, for example, I know you know about the US, things like, raising interest rates or bringing interest rate down, or, working with commercial and central banks to either mop up excess liquidity or increase liquidity in the economy, right? I don't know. To me, the government of Nigeria does not have such a clear. I mean, I was looking at South Africa's plan in that respect, and it was like a 60-page document or so of their plan to manage the economy in the next, I think, 10 years or so that inflation can be regulated. Now, this is not to say that they are not allowing the free market to operate. They are allowing free, but they are using they are playing the game, right? So they are using the forces of the free market to regulate the inflation. The question now is, how well or what kind of intelligent plan does the Nigerian economic arm of the Nigerian government have in that area? And that would then influence my outlook, which is that I don't really see much changing, and we need a clear plan. That's one. And Toby was saying something, and I agree with him. We don't just need a plan; we need the willpower to implement the plan. And sorry to say, the current economic climate and the current people in government, I don't think they have the willpower to implement any consistent plan. Because, as you said, they are just playing politics with economy. So, they're doing what is most politically expedient per time. So that is what is happening. So until we have people that are dispassionate, I don't know, but basically objective, and are ready to actually sit down, plan, and do what needs to be done, irrespective of what the instant feedback is from the people. Because, like I said last time, the average person on the street does not really know about what economics means, right? So they are just concerned about now, what is going on now, how much food am I buying now? Sometimes we're going to have to implement policies that will make things a bit worse now, but in the future they'll make things much better. So we need a government that is able to take all these things into a plan, and then implement them with the willpower. Now that's why I was referring to corruption. With the way corruption is rife in the Nigerian system, that's not even possible. So next week we'll still come back here and just look at our leaderboard, look at this and talk, and give some insight, help, and this it. But I don't see anything happening.
Yeah, we are not doing badly. I mean, in Nigeria we have the MPR, so that's the monetary policy rate, which is the rate, the base rate for lending that is set by Central Bank of Nigeria. They also have the cash reserve ratio. I think that's what they use to determine the amount of capital that banks can have to lend and all that. So we still have measures. The only problem is that this.
Okay. So let's say we have those measures, like you said, right? How are they being implemented? Talk we had with Kevin. With someone, sorry to mention it, but he was talking about the fact that somebody was hijacking the central government and collecting all the.
So I mean, the truth of the matter is, this CBN is just new, right? So I mean, this is a new board, and hopefully we want to start seeing action or traction. I mean, we've seen some traction from them. They've 43 items and all that. So let's see if perhaps they can go further. Toby, in 1 minute. What is your outlook for the country? I mean, it's not. We're not sounding like broken record here. I don't know if you get it, but we are hoping that we can curate all of these your 1 week projections by the end of the year and see if perhaps you are one of the problems Nigeria is having, or even. So, are you optimistic of the country in the next one? I mean, what?
Okay, my response is, let me start with the example that we started with. We said charcoal last week, there was 13% increase, and then this week there's 16% increase. So I feel like that again is will I say the summary of this kind of thing. Even if we say, okay, I hope that by next week we'll be better. If we are being honest and if we follow what the data is saying, there just seems to be this rise and drop and rise and drop. And with every rise, the rise is higher, right? So it's not just a rise and drop, but every subsequent rise, there is a higher rise. So I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, but again, I mean, chicken is not 3.5, so I'm depressed, right? So I'm serious because
Christmas is coming now. So
what will happen? What will happen in December if by now chicken is 3.5?
You can buy it.
Without electricity. How am I going to store it without electricity? So you see, it's back to back the problem. So again, we can only hope that things are easier next week, but until the government takes action, and again, too much talk, less action. We need more action and less talk. But again, the issue of corruption in the country, the issue of greed, and the issue of even I'll say, like you said, the lack of willpower to actually do the right. I don't see how this government is going to take us out of the way. I can only trust God that things will be better, but personally, I'm not looking for too much.
So sorry, before what I would say, that's as we round up is maybe if we look at it from a federal government perspective, we might not be able to see much, but I think at least from in history, like over time, we've seen that there are some states where, and like the more we narrow the scale down, the more there's hope, like there's a chance. Because if you look at a particular state or a couple of states where they've had like some governors that have been really exceptional, you find that they've been able to do things better for their state. So maybe if you can look at narrow the context a little bit down, there might be hope in some states if we can find states where they are actually responsible governments. And then obviously the smaller scale, the easier it is to manage and to effect change, right? So maybe we can see there's hope at those smaller scales of things getting better, and then maybe over time they can spread.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all. So we are admonished to keep hope alive. Please do well to subscribe to our newsletter. Just go on our website www.oaksintelligence.co and you'll be met with a sign-up page to get our regular weekly updates. Every Monday we have our Eco News 9 a.m. Every Wednesday we have our Eco Tracker, and on Fridays we have the Yard People series for the Eco Tales. Until we meet again next week, do have a splendid evening. Thank you.